Hello, community. Happy Thursday to all of us. Welcome to today's community event. I hope you and yours are doing fantastic. We are very thrilled to have you all in today's community event. Thank you for those that are able to make it and be present with us today. Today is an amazing day for us in the crypto industry as we have so much to celebrate. As we first time in history, we finally have pro crypto regulators as far as in the largest market, financial market in the world, which is in the US. And also today, later on today, there's also be a talk FOMC meeting in the US amongst the Feds that will also discuss how much the interest rates is being cut and so on and so forth. But before we jump the gun, we'll discuss all of that and in more detail in today's session. We'll go through everything step by step. As you see, today's topic is about what's next for the crypto industry now that we are where we are today. So once more, welcome to today's community event. We are thrilled to have you all here with us today, and we're excited and we can't wait to get this event going today. So with that said, community, I would like us to get this started. Thank you for all your comments, your feedbacks. As always, we will get to them at the end, as there is really quite a bit of them. So we'll come full circle at the end, and then we'll get all your feedbacks answered, and we'll also read every single comment that you put out there. So those who commented, those who have put inputs, we will go through all of them. So rest assured. So since there's so much to be discussed today, let's get right to today's topic, as there's really a lot to be covered. It will be a lengthy one. So I hope that you're ready for some information of today. And as we are doing that, before we start, let me let you know that all the tweets are out. Survivor, Killer Whale, and Bullrun. We know the drill. It's important for us to engage as we do daily tweets. This is to bring awareness to our crypto industry, and also, of course, to bring awareness to our ecosystem, and to keep on developing and growing our community, as we understand that this blockchain technology is all about the network effect, meaning the more members, the larger the community, the larger the network effect, meaning that that's how we derive our value from, because it's all about the community, and that's the beautiful thing about it. So with that said, those who have not yet, I encourage us all to please engage with the tweets as I'm sharing my screen so we can start this session today. So, all right, community, let's get this session going. Again, today's session is all about what's next for the crypto industry. So this is something that we all really eager to understand. We're really eager to address what's next, so what's beyond all the hype, all the noise, all the excitement, what's happening next. So this is what we're going to look at in details today. And also we'll realize that there are certain things that we really need to be very, very careful about, and we look at them into more detail. So as we look at the market right now, what are we looking at? We're looking at, it's been really flat so far. So it's 2.5 roughly trillion. We are up 0.5%. But you see here, as far as greed and fear, you see the index is at 70. So this just means that the market is excited. We have a lot to look forward to, and this is an exciting moment indeed. We were all looking forward to this moment, and we are glad that the elections are now behind us, so on and so forth. And if you look at the dominance, Bitcoin, it has 60%. This 60% is based on the market cap, right? And also what I want to bring to your attention, if you look at the column on volume, you realize that Bitcoin is right now at 65 billion. 65 billion. Yesterday, actually, it was at over 100 billion. Ethereum is at 34, and the largest stablecoin has way more, over 114 billion. So way more than Bitcoin and Ethereum combined. For the simple reason is because it's just the most liquid cryptocurrency in the industry, right? If you look at USDC, it's also not doing too bad, closing in on 12 billion in volume. This is more than Binance, Solana combined. So it's really good, not relatively to its market cap. So with that said, community, let's get to today's, like we discussed today, let's hit on some news. Later on today, there'll be a Fed meeting going on. Let's be aware of that. And the discussion, as always, will be interest rate cut, right? This will be held by the chairman, Jerome Powell, in a speech later on. We still have like an hour to go before that will take place. So this will be another catalyst that we might experience, of course, that will push the industry, the financial industry, not just the crypto industry. This will affect the stock market, of course, the commodities, everything. As we know, interest rate cuts mean liquidity, right? Whenever interest rates are being cut, it means inflation, and it means inflation means assets are being inflated, meaning the gain in price, the gain in value in terms of fiat, right? In terms of US dollar. So another thing that I want to just highlight here briefly is that, like we said here, they'll have a meeting today, and this will not. This is not based on the election results. Obviously, it would have still happened either way, right? And it's set to deliver a quarter of a point interest rate cut, so 0.25% is supposed to be cut today. So that's what the market has priced in. But of course, within an hour, the next hour, we'll see exactly what the Feds decide. Regardless the case, we'll see this, the market will react accordingly, right? So this is what's happening in the next hour or so. We'll get the news about that. So this is something that is going to happen later on today within an hour. So another thing now that we need to look at here is that let's focus on the president-elect, right? What are his two ambitions? Like, what are the two challenges that are being faced right now that he aims to tackle, right? So obviously the first one, so Donald Trump has won the 2024 election. Here's what two economic issues. I like to look at them as challenges. So what are the two challenges, right? Let's scroll down here and look at them. So obviously the number one challenge, and our community know this by heart by now, and this is one of the 4 challenges that we are already addressing as a community, is obviously inflation, right? Inflation has moderated in recent years, meaning it has slowed down in the recent years. However, it has nonetheless remained front and center in voters' minds. So this has been one of the challenges, obviously, that has been bothering not just the US, but the world, right? Everybody's really struggling under inflation due to the monetary system that we are on. It's a debt-driven monetary system. It's an inflationary-driven monetary system. And if you mix debt and inflation, you lose your purchasing power. That's the third future that this current monetary system has. So inflation has been a major challenge. And this is something that has been in the minds of the voters. And this is where the president-elect was able to convince the voters that he's the right candidate to tackle that, right? And also, this is what he promised, right? This is the promise that he made. So we are going to turn our country around, and he was saying that he will end inflation very, very quickly, right? So these were things that were promised, and these are things that we are now looking forward that will be addressed, right? And that will also be implemented within the next 100 days once he gets into office in January, right? January 20th next year. So this is something that he kept saying throughout his campaign. And one of his slogans was Trump will fix it, right? So another thing, so now we just want to focus on the challenges. There are two of them. First one, like we said, inflation, right? And what we need to also understand, without getting too much into details, is how he's aiming to do that, right? And his number one goal to do that is literally through tariffs, right? Tariffs, and the way he's going to do that is, for example, he promised like things like 60% tariffs on China, 20 on the Americas and other trading partners, and so on and so forth. So these are things that he wants to implement to tackle inflation, right? Hit the world with tariffs. Americas, Europe, hit them with tariffs, right? And another thing is taxes, right? Taxes is the other thing. So these are the two things that really want to look at. And he says that he will also immediately do this, right? And the beautiful thing about this that he says is that right here. So he has promised that he will completely extend the cuts to individuals of all income levels, right? Alongside, so everybody's going to get interest rate cuts, alongside additional promises. So from no taxes on tips and overtime. So if you have, for example, working as a service in the service industry, your tips will not be taxed, and overtime as well will not be taxed. And then also, of course, lowering taxes for the big businesses. And all of this, of course, comes, all this Trump tax agenda comes with a hefty price, of course. It's not going to be free. So this will require a humble $9 trillion US over the next 10 years, right? And let's look at these two challenges in more details. Let's look at these two challenges in more details. So like we said, with the tariffs, right? Let's start with the tariffs. Let's go up here. Okay. So at the same time, like we say, Trump's plans to impose tariffs on trade force Europeans allies to pay more, right? And especially those multilateral institutions, they are the ones that are really going to experience a depressed growth and everywhere in the world, because they'll be forced, if they want to do business with the US, they'll be forced to pay higher tariffs. This will, of course, boost US dollar demand. And this is exactly what he said he wants to do, right? So, furthermore here, this analysts expect that there'll be a sharp fall in the euro, the euro currency, fiat currency, and it will go possibly below the $1 fee, the $1 level. And this will only happen if tariffs and domestic tax are cut. But we just verified that this is exactly his ambitions. His ambitions are tariffs and interest rate cuts, domestic interest tax cuts, right? So this is exactly what's going to happen. Another thing that we want to look at quickly is this means higher dollar yields on bonds. So the bond market. The bond market is one of the largest markets, like we've been discussing, and this will experience higher dollar yields. And this will mean return on carry trades. Remember the carry trades that happened just a month ago, just a couple weeks ago? This happened because institutions or large individuals were borrowing cheap money from Japan and then purchasing the US dollar with it and purchasing US debt, right? So because they were earning higher yields, the US dollar was giving them higher yields. So they were purchasing, for example, Japanese yen, because it was low, cheap to borrow, and then buy US debts with it, which give you higher yield. And this is exactly what caused a few weeks ago the carry trades, and it caused the markets to really collapse for a short period of time. This will return again. And with currencies such as the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc, they're already heavily sold right now. in the run-up of the election. So speculators already know about this. So they already know that, okay, we need to get the cheap Japanese yen or the cheap Swiss franc. Let's get that and then go buy US dollar. That will give us higher yield. So the yen is going to suffer. However, the Swiss franc, because they have already, of course, from Switzerland, they also have high value exports, you know, the Rolexes and all these high-end jewelries, and they're being shielded from tariffs. They won't be hit as much. But other currencies, they'll be outperforming during periods. And this is why their currency, Swiss francs, are usually outperforming inflation. And we'll get more into Swiss francs and Switzerland later on. So this is just what we need to understand, is that higher yields will mean countries, and paired with tariffs, this means that countries around the world, their fiat currencies are going to lose their value, right, in comparison with the US dollar, meaning that people will be able, or speculators will be able to loan out this cheap money and then purchase US debts with it, right? And this is how the US dollar is going to remain strengthened. And of course, the administration also expect to take a softer line on cryptocurrency regulation. This is what we're all looking forward to. We want leniency, transparency, and more regulations that are clear. This will, of course, this made Bitcoin and the crypto industry will be the winners out of this, right? So, of course, the Bitcoin rose and the entire industry rose to all-time highs. Bitcoin rose to all-time highs just by knowing that we have a pro crypto president that is being lined up. And with all these promises he made, it looks great for the tech industry, right? So with the Trump's promise to less regulate and lower taxes, not just big corporations, but also sectors such as banks, tech, which obviously blockchain tech, crypto industry is also part of the technology industry, are likely to benefit the most from this. Also, what I want to highlight is that the plan to cut corporate taxes from 21 to 15, this will of course raise the S&P 500's earnings by about 4%. This is what the analysts at Goldman Sachs are speculating or estimating. And more earnings will mean more spending, of course, as well, more spending power as well. So why are we discussing all of this? It's because we need to understand that what the impact that all of this will have on us. And what's the impact on all of this? In order, like we saw here, just the tax agenda alone is $9 trillion US, and this will be printed, right? So what's the next step? How does this affect us? This right here is going to happen. What the US really does the best, better than anybody in the world, amongst other things, of course, is printing money, right? And we can see clearly in this chart, like the last financial crisis, global crisis in 2008, you see here, what was the solution? If you're in a crisis, if you need to solve challenges, if you want to reboot the economy, and usually after the election, there's always printing coming on, and the markets are always doing great. They're always booming, right? And like we saw here, the banks sectors, these are the bank sectors, tech sectors, in this case, defense, fossil fuels, these are commodities. So banks, technology, commodities are going to boom. Why? Because when you print money, fiat, and you trigger the market, stimulate the market, what happens? All assets are going up. So, and it doesn't really matter if the Democrats, Republicans, who is the president, it doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. If you see here, you see both of them are heavily into printing. And the way you solve challenges, the way you solve situations in the market, the way you stimulate the economy is always one way. You just print fiat. And if you just look at his agenda, just the tax agenda alone is $9 trillion. So what about fixing inflation, fixing the market, getting the economy going? How do you do that? Print. You see this last global financial crisis. What do? You print. Pandemic, 2020, what happened? Boom, print even more. So you print your way to success. And this is exactly what's going to happen. And how does this affect us? This affects us incredibly well, because whenever inflation happens, whenever markets get stimulated by printing money, this is good for everyone across the board, whether in the stock market, commodities, banks, crypto industry, obviously, is the fastest growing asset class, and it's going to benefit the most, better than anybody else, right? So now that we've discussed this, I want us to highlight something else. This is just to lay the foundation of what's coming, so we can really look forward to a lot of money printing, economy stimulation, because now we have the pro-crypto president elected. We have all these promises he made, or we know the two challenges he's tackling, which is inflation and interest rate cuts. Inflation tackling, that means stimulating the economy by printing more money. Interest rate cuts, tax cuts means more spending power for the retailer. And as we've always been talking about, the retailers are accountable for 70% of all economic activities. So this will mean that retailers have more money to spend. They have more liquidity for them. So these are catalysts that are being prepared right now, right, for us. So more money printing means more money in the economy. Interest rate cut at the same time means even retailers will still have more to spend, right? They won't be having to spend it all on too much high taxes and so on and so forth. So we see how these things are working together for the best. Now, let's get to this right here. This is very interesting. This is a very interesting article. First of all, 21 Shares. Who is 21 Shares? They wrote this article back on the 4th, 3 days ago, November 4th. And if you look at here, November 4th, that was on Monday. And do you remember this topic? They're comparing Ethereum with potential to early Amazon. Do you remember we had this topic on Saturday? We had the exact topic on our Saturday Telegram session, right? We discussed on November 2nd, on Saturday, we had this topic right here. And now, 2 days later, 21 Shares, for those who are not familiar with 21 Shares, they're one of the issuers, ETF issuers. So if we go to ETF, they're the 5th largest ETF issuers in the world, right? 21 Shares. So just so we understand who we're dealing with here. So they put out an article, and this is the same topic we discussed. For those who missed that, I encourage you to go and listen, join our Telegram group, and go and listen to that session. Our topic of the day was Ethereum. We made an example how Ethereum, we made a comparison how Ethereum acts like Amazon right now. It was underappreciated. It was looked at, it's a dead blockchain, and it was slow compared to other competitors and so on and so forth. However, in the later days, it happened to be like they were actually the platform to be, right? As always, we don't take these words for them. It's just ironic that 21 Shares wrote an entire article about the topic we had on Saturday, 2 days after we had it, right? This was on Monday, 3 days ago. So anyway, I'd like us to look at what they were saying, right? So Ethereum's current stage resembles Amazon's early days in the 90s. According to 21 Shares, right? Again, you can listen to it. It's a recording on our Telegram group on Bullrun, right? We recorded it. It's our last community event on Saturday. So Wall Street remains largely unaware of its transformative potential. So this is something that we clearly said, because mainstream was always talking about how Ethereum is dead and it's going to get flipped by the likes of Solana, Sui, and all these other layer one blockchains, right? And further said that he believes Ethereum could eventually see large-scale adoption, similar to Amazon's evolution from an online bookstore to the powerhouse that it is today. So Ethereum is complex, he further says, just like Amazon was in the 1990s, promising vast potential, but less straightforward in its use cases, right? And also, he further said that he highlighted that Ethereum's growth trajectory mirrors Amazon, which transformed entire industries beyond books. Community, we've discussed this on Saturday, right? We've exactly word for word, literally, we discussed this. So just as Amazon evolved beyond books and redefined entire industries, Ethereum may surprise us with revolutionary use cases that we can't fully envision today. These are bold statements. So, and this is what we've been always talking about, how literally Ethereum is like a layer. It's that blockchain technology that you can build on top, and its use case is unlimited. It's limited only to our creativity, our imaginations, right? It's the layer of blockchain. It's the largest smart contract blockchain. So it's using this technology to the fullest, and we can build on top of it. It's the new financial hub. But this is not my word. We'll verify. We won't take this article for face value. Don't even take what I said on Saturday to its face value. We have to verify all of this. So despite Ethereum's $320 billion market cap being a fraction of Amazon's $2 trillion valuation, he pointed out that there is a unique advantage that Ethereum has, and that it's developer community, right? It has a very large developer community, and it did so by doing an example, like comparison. By the end of 1990s, Amazon had 7,600 people working for Amazon. In contrast, Ethereum network today, they have over 200,000 active developers. So what does this tell you? This just tells you the growth potential. Once the regulations, clarity are here, once there's more clarity and regulators are, just having a clear outline for institutions, just like MiCA in Europe, Ethereum is really going to stand out. And with such a large developer base, 200,000 active developers, this just shows you that there will be a lot of development going on. And the network effect on Ethereum is the more developers are building sustainable futures and smart contract applications, the more it's going to get used. And the more you use Ethereum, the more deflationary it gets, right? We know that. So anyway, despite competition from other layer one networks like Solana, Ethereum remains the top platform for decentralized finance, stable coins, and real world assets, right? So let's stop it here. Let's put a pause here. And we always have to verify things. This is just one article. But is Ethereum really the top platform for decentralized finance, stable coins, and real world assets? Let's verify that. We need to verify all of that. So to verify that, let's look at another article, right? This article is just 16 hours ago. So it's a fairly new article. So the headline is Tether swaps more than 2 billion USDT to the Ethereum network. Let's say it again. Remember what we just said here. Ethereum is remains the top platform for DeFi, stablecoins, and real-world assets. Remember that. So Tether, obviously, for those that are in the crypto space, we know that this is the largest stablecoin, like we saw here. This is the largest stablecoin. It has more volume than Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and Binance combined. So it, based on its liquidity alone, it generates so much volume, right? So this is not just a random token cryptocurrency, it's the largest cryptocurrency, right? So it decided to swap 2 billion USDT to Ethereum network. Follow the money, follow liquidity. So let's look at in more details. So the vast majority of Tether USDT volume exists on Tron network due to lower fees and faster transactions. So let's take a short trip and look at something. So Tron network, this is where the majority of Tether is. So if we go to Tron right now, first of all, let's look at all. This is the entire industry. So the entire industry, the stablecoin market cap, as you see here, is at 176, right? 176. You see here, 176 billion. This is the entire industry. And if you look at Ethereum, out of the 176 stablecoins, 87 is on Ethereum alone, stablecoins. And if you look at Tron, which holds majority of USDT, they're at 60. So even though Tron holds majority of USDT, the largest stablecoin in the industry, it's still almost 30 billion less. It has still 30 billion less stablecoins on chain, on the Ethereum blockchain than Tether. So this is something that we really need to highlight. And then if you look at the value, Ethereum holds 53 billion assets on the blockchain, 53. And if you look at all in all is 91. So this is 60%. So 60% of all value locked from the entire industry, 60% is on Ethereum. So as we saw here at the beginning, Bitcoin dominance is also 60%, but this is based on market cap. But if you look at liquidity, if you're focusing on liquidity alone, you realize that Ethereum is the most liquid blockchain in the entire industry. So, and it holds the majority of all stable coins. So what would we just do? We just verified. Let's not just always read things and believe it. We had to verify that Ethereum remains the top platform for DeFi, stable coins, and real world assets. We will verify all these three, right? DeFi, we just verified stable coins. DeFi, this is easy to verify. We just scroll down, and the easiest way to do it, we go to the entire industry, you go to all. If you scroll down, you see the top 10 applications. And let's just focus on the top 5. Lido, Aave, Eigenlayer, EtherFi, Maker, and Uniswap. Let's add in Uniswap, right? So keep in mind these top 6. Keep them in mind. This is all under all. These are the largest applications in the entire industry. But if we filter them only on Ethereum, do you recognize something? The top 6 are identical because they're all on Ethereum blockchain. All 6. The top 6 applications are all on the Ethereum blockchain, as you see here, right? They're all on Ethereum. Actually, it's the top 10. We can even take all 10 of them. They're still on Ethereum. So what does this tell us, community? This just verifies that indeed DeFi is on Ethereum. We identified stablecoins. Stablecoins, we verified that as well. Stablecoins are really also, the majority of them are also on the Ethereum blockchain. So we verified DeFi, stablecoin. Now what's remaining? Real world assets. We have to verify that as well. But we'll verify that as we progress. So now that we verified that, let's look at something else. Let's look at something else here. Let's look at something else. Let's continue reading this because we need to understand one thing. So stablecoin issuer Tether announced a significant cross-chain swap, moving 2 billion from multiple blockchains to Ethereum network. This was yesterday. So let's look at how much money they took. So they took 1 billion USDT will be swapped from Tron. They're removing it from the Tron network. 600 million will be removed from Avalanche, which is a layer 2 Ethereum blockchain. In additional 300 million will be removed from the NEAR protocol. And then all of that is going to the Ethereum network. It will all make its way to Ethereum network. And also 60 million will go from EOS and also will be swapped to Ethereum. So what do we always say? Follow the money, follow the liquidity. And now that the bull cycle is really in full swing, the elections are done, regulations are getting ready to be put in, liquidity is about to get flooding. Now, large smart money is starting to bring all that liquidity that was in the cold wallets, right? The stablecoin, the firm explained that the cross-chain swap was performed on behalf of a large unnamed exchange wishing to transfer USDT holdings from various cold wallets to Ethereum blockchain. So they are actually moving all their assets from the cold wallets on these different chains, and now they're bringing it home where the liquidity is, where all the developers are, where all the activities is happening. And now we just verified what we were just saying, right? DeFi is on Ethereum, stablecoins are on Ethereum. We are going to discuss real world asset at the end. So let's move on now. Major financial institutions, including BlackRock and UBS. Now we are verifying real world assets, right? This is where real world assets, because these two are the real world asset institutions. So BlackRock, we know they're all about tokenizing assets. They're all about real world assets. They have their liquidity fund they have that, which is our own token, BIDL token. They have ETFs that they want to tokenize, right? UBS, the same thing. We just last week, right? We just talked about how, actually this week, we just talked about how November 1st, they also started issuing their liquidity fund, right? Tokenizing. All of this have utilized Ethereum for tokenizing funds. Here we go. So real world assets are utilizing Ethereum for their tokenized funds. So everything that was said here, we can literally verify them. And it goes even further. Payment giants like PayPal, Visa are also building on Ethereum, demonstrating its potential as a backbone for digital finance. So however, institutional interest in the spot ETFs, how we know, is still modest because regulations, obviously, right? But this, with having the president now that is pro-crypto in the House, having the House, the Senate that is pro-crypto, the majority of them, this will bring regulations, and then all of this is about to change. So why is this so important? I want us to remain right here. These two are major players, and let's continue with them, right? So let's look at another thing. Remember, we always have to verify things. One of the promises was made was that Bitcoin is going to be used as reserve, right? This was something that was made, and Senator Loomis, she proposed this, and President-elect Trump is running with it, right? So Bitcoin reserve proposal. However, you have to always verify things and understand things. And these are not my word. This is the article. So let's quickly go through the article. So a US strategic Bitcoin reserve faces steep odds, with legislative hurdles and economic risks stalling approval, right? So this is what really literally got Trump into the office, because all Bitcoin enthusiasts were so excited that, hey, we can use Bitcoin as strategic reserves and all this, right? Excitement. But if you look at reality and look at facts, you quickly realize that, in theory, it sounds great and it gets you into the office, but is this implementable? Is it really feasible? Is it feasible? Let's look at it. So United States Senator Cynthia Loomis, like we said, she was long known as the crypto queen, right? And she's a really pro-crypto individual. So this is great. However, there was a financial curveball that was thrown by announcing to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And this is why. So let's look at some things. Why is it being challenged by the United States? Why is it being challenged by individuals in the US, right? Because this could, because it raises questions on its feasibility, on its impact on the US debt, and because it's volatile. So these are the three challenges, and these are the questions that are being raised. So how is it feasible? So its feasibility. You have to look at its feasibility. And how will it impact the US debt? Is it actually a solution to the US debt? And what about the market volatility that it's causing? So these are the three challenges that are causing the policy barriers, right? To implement this. Like we said, in theory, everything sounds great, but now if you get into the details and really want to implement it, you quickly realize that it's not feasible. Is it really impacting the US debt? And what about its volatility? Let's continue. So historically, this is all the argument. Like historically, the US has always relied heavily on its gold reserves. Why? Because of stability and strength to the dollar, to stabilize and strengthen the dollar. So stability is very important. And to be stable, obviously, you need to be liquid. That's the major thing. Let's verify what I just said. Is it really the case? Okay. These vast stores of physical gold are valued for what? For their liquidity. This is what's very important. What, again, liquidity brings stability, right? So the reason why gold were preferred and were used before was because historically, these gold reserves brought stability, and this is because liquidity, right? Liquidity brings stability. But what does that mean? Let's bring it into more context. So in contrast, hypothetical 200 billion Bitcoin reserve would represent less than 2.5% of current global gold reserve value, raising question about its strategic impact. So how will it impact like we just discussed up here? You remember these three challenges. How will this impact? How is it feasible, first of all? How will it impact the US debt? And what about the volatility? So those are the three challenges that we see here. And it's not liquid and it's not stable, first of all, because we need to address the liquidity challenge, and which also affects the stability. And even if you had $200 billion worth of Bitcoin reserves, it will only be less than 2.5% of the current global gold reserve, right? And this raises questions about the strategic impact. And let's go down here and bring the point home. So the proposal is unlikely to be implemented, at least not over the next 2 years, right? And with inflation concerns still a major issue, any plan involving Bitcoin could meet resistance from both the public and the policymakers. But more importantly, even a $200 billion Bitcoin fund would still be a fraction of the US debt, currently at 36 trillion. So when Trump was talking about how they'll write a check in Bitcoin and cover the cost, cover the 36 trillion, that sounded really great. But in theory, it's not adding up, because even if you had 200 billion in Bitcoin, it's less than a fraction. And it won't even put a dent into the $36 trillion debt. Why is this so relevant? First of all, let's look at the liquidity part. So the estimated gold market cap right now is, let's say, 18 trillion right now. So it's extremely liquid. It's a liquid market. It's 18 trillion right now. If you look at, let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is at 1.4, let's round it up, 1.5 billion liquidity. It has a 1.4 billion in liquidity right now. So how does that relate? And even if you compare it with the market cap, and market cap really doesn't mean much, because what counts is the liquidity, how liquid it is, because this is the whole idea. You want to address these two important things. You want to address liquidity. This is what you want to address. Because these vast stores of physical gold are valued for their liquidity. So you shouldn't be comparing Bitcoin's market cap to gold. You should be comparing Bitcoin's liquidity to gold, because gold is cherished because of their liquidity. It's liquid. So this means that while gold is sitting at 18 trillion, you're looking at Bitcoin with liquidity of 1.5 billion. And this is on centralized exchanges. I need to stress this. But this is not fair comparison. Let's look at all ETFs combined. But the thing with ETFs is you don't own a Bitcoin. So if you want to own Bitcoin, physically own it, you don't have much liquidity to work with. It's 1.5 billion compared to 18 trillion market, right, in gold. So, but let's even say that, okay, let's compare the ETFs where you don't own the physical gold. But even if you look at the ETFs community, first of all ETFs combined, they have 1.1 million Bitcoin. Let's say 1.2 million Bitcoin. And even so, even though it's almost 6% of all supply, still it's only sitting at 87 billion, right? And 87 billion, how is that putting a dent into, so even the Bitcoin reserve, they say that 200 billion, but all ETFs combined, they're only sitting at 87 billion. So they were making an example of 200 billion, even to just make a point that even if you had 200 billion in Bitcoin reserves, it's still a 2.5%. So how is that going to compare to the current gold reserves value? And the question here is, how is that going to be a strategic impact? How is that going to address the debt crisis? So all these reserves issues sounds great in theory, but in practically, it really doesn't do much, right? So what are we saying here? And this was an example with 200 billion, but right now the largest holders of Bitcoin is single-handedly the ETFs holders, but they're only sitting at 87, let's say 88 billion. How do we get to 200 billion? This is if the remaining 1 million Bitcoin, because if you look at here, let's go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a circulating supply of 19.8, let's say 20 million, right? And there's only 21 million supply. So that means there's only 1 more million left to be mined. And this 1 million is not going to be here by the end of the year. This is going to take over 100 years, 2140. So over 100 years until the next 1 million Bitcoin is going to be mined. So what does this tell us? Even if the ETFs are going to take the remaining 1 million left, they'll still be only at even less than 200. This is where the 200 comes from. That even if they would take the remaining million Bitcoin, it will still just get them at 200 billion. Now, let's look at something else. There's a debt right here crisis, right? And this debt crisis is at 36 trillion. So let's look at something here. Let's take this 36 trillion in debt. And let's see that if we want to pay down this debt in Bitcoin today, how much Bitcoin will we need, right? So right now, 1 Bitcoin is, let's say 77,000, right? So we would need over 467 million Bitcoin. 467 million Bitcoin. But wait, there's only 21 million. So that's not going to work. We have to readjust, right? Let's readjust. So that's not going to happen. So let's say, like everybody's saying, one Bitcoin will be $1 million, right? So let's see if Bitcoin is at 1 million US dollars. How many Bitcoin will we need? Oh, we'll need 36 million Bitcoin. Oh, wait, how is that possible? There's only 21. There's only 21. So even if Bitcoin hits $1 million, we'll still need 36 million of them, but there's only 21. So, okay, let's do some more math now. Let's say Bitcoin hits 10 million. What about then? Okay, so we'll need 3.6 million Bitcoin, right? So how will the government get 3.6 million Bitcoin if there's only 1 million left to be mined? And as we see here, the ETFs have been purchasing at least $1 billion worth of Bitcoin every single day. So you see that the math is not adding up. There's only 1 million left to be minted, but the government will need 3.6 million Bitcoin, and the price of Bitcoin would have to be 10 million US dollars per Bitcoin for them to just pay off this debt. So obviously, what are we trying to say here is that everything sounds great in theory, but in practice, you see that there's a challenge here, right? It's not going to work. So, and just to make a point here, for Bitcoin to be at a 10 million per Bitcoin, this is what's going to happen, right? For Bitcoin to be at 10 million per Bitcoin, we divide that by 77,000. It will be roughly 130x from today's price. So if we multiply this, and let's look at how much the market cap would have to be, right? Let's do that. So the market cap of Bitcoin would have to be over 194 trillion. Over 194 trillion just to be at 10 million per Bitcoin. This is around the same size of the bond market. So this will be like more than 10 times the entire gold market, which is at 18 trillion, right? So we see where we're heading with this. It's just not going to happen because many institutions would have to buy BlackRock ETFs to achieve that. And I doubt that countries, nations would want to purchase BlackRock's ETFs. They would want, if anything, they would want to buy physical Bitcoin and hold them themselves. So this is just to check this article, you know, and just to verify that, okay, what are they saying? Why are they so negative about this? But if you fact check, you realize that actually they're right, you know. So their concern is verified, like it's justified, because they're like, okay, even if you give it 200 billion in Bitcoin right now, it won't do anything. It's only 2.5% of all global reserves in gold, and this raises question about its strategic impact. So what's the point of having a strategic, Bitcoin reserves when it really has zero impact on feasibility, on the depth, and what's the point? All right, now that we made that point, another point that we need to make is that, like, if you want, Bitcoin suffers liquidity crisis on its centralized exchanges. So the only way you will receive Bitcoin liquidity that is liquid, you would have to literally buy BlackRock's ETFs because they are the most liquid ones. So unless you want a paper version of Bitcoin, there is no way to accumulate that much Bitcoin to really be a feasible reserve, strategic reserve. And this is just for one country. So what about other nations? So it's just not going to work, right? So now that we've covered that, let's look at something else. This article, we know it by now. And this is about how cryptocurrencies have failed to be the test of being digital money, right? And keep in mind, this is from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Why do I keep bringing up this article? Because it has a major impact. And the largest private bank in terms of assets under management is actually in partnership with them. And keep in mind what they said. They say that crypto has performed poorly as a medium of exchange and a store of value. We know this by now. This is the Monetary Authority of Singapore. So who else is in partnership with Monetary Authority of Singapore? UBS. UBS is both an asset manager and a bank, a private bank. So it's two in one. And we'll look at this in more details, one step at a time. So UBS, the largest private bank in terms of assets under management, who are they partnering with? Who is their active industry partner? Is the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Not only are they partners, but literally UBS last year, 1 year ago, they actually launched a live pilot for tokenized VVC, variable capital company. So basically, we always thought that BlackRock was the first to issue the liquidity. Remember how we were always so excited that BlackRock with the Biddle Fund, right? They came up with the Biddle Fund and this was great. However, UBS already did this a year ago. So BlackRock was literally just doing, or rather copying, what UBS already had done. They already did this before. And what's so interesting about this is they're partnered with the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And if UBS believes and partners with the same individuals who are saying that cryptocurrencies have failed as the test of digital money, and they're performing poor as a medium of exchange and a store of value, why is such a crypto enthusiastic bank partnering with them? People who say that, they must know something that we don't. They must know that it's true, and to really put an impact and change, we need to get into the liquidity business. This is why they launched a tokenized variable company. So this is a VC of fund. It's a liquidity fund, but it's a company helping other institutions to tokenize things, right? So let's read this even more. More broadly, this fund also forms part of the broader expansion of UBS tokenization service through UBS Tokenize. So this fund is launched 1 year before Biddle. Before BlackRock even had the idea with the liquidity fund, UBS was a year ahead of them and already launched one before. And they launched with keep in mind, Monetary Authority of Singapore is the SEC equivalent of the US. So they're way ahead. This is regulated and they already have a liquidity fund and they even have a service, tokenization service. What do they do? This is the important part. So as of in November last year, UBS completed the world's first cross-border purchase transactions with a natively issued digital bond. Now this is getting interesting, community. Remember our last community event. Community. We were talking about how we are giving it on Twitter on Monday. We were talking about how we are giving the industry 3 to 6 months to catch up on the news that tokenized assets, tokenized bonds, which is debt, government debt, will be used to back the government. Well, it didn't take long, community. If we look at here, this is today, right? This is November 7th. This is today. And as you see here, according to a global government fintech report on November 7th, this is today, the city of Lugano has issued 3 digital bonds worth a total of 320 million Swiss francs. So what we discussed on Monday, it didn't take 3 to 6 months, community. It took literally 3 days. And Switzerland is already at the forefront. And they already issued not 1, not 2, but 3 bonds using the blockchain technology. We'll get to this. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's go back. So, not BlackRock, but UBS, they were the ones already 1 year ago in partnership with the US equivalent, SEC equivalent of US, the Monetary Authority of Singapore. They created and launched this fund. And what do they do with it? It's the world's first cross-border purchase that they used natively issued digital bonds. So they literally issued their own Swiss bonds. So they issued tokenized Swiss debt. And they used it on the blockchain. They leveraged public blockchain and they used it on there. And they were the first one to do that. So it's not BlackRock to do it. It's just not in the news. People just don't talk about it. So we all think that BlackRock was the first to do it. No, UBS had already did it with the Monetary Authority of Singapore already. They already did that before. Now, what's interesting is, what do they focus on? Let's look at what they're focusing on right now. So UBS has been expanding its digital asset capabilities, offering UBS Tokenize, its in-house tokenization service. They've been having a tokenization service, which seeks to open the door to the world of DeFi. Keep in mind, what did we read here? Did we read this before? That, did we read that right here? That Ethereum remains top platform for DeFi? Isn't this verifying again? This is the verification. It's verifying that yes, it's really UBS have an in-house tokenization service that seeks to open the doors to DeFi, decentralized finance, reduce barriers and provide access to products and services to a broader range of participants, bringing people closer. Now, this is interesting. UBS Tokenize supports opportunities throughout the whole asset life cycle. And this is what we were talking about. This is very important to understand, including UBS is the originator. They're originating, they are issuing, they are distributing, and they're also doing the custody. And we need to understand this because BlackRock can't do that. BlackRock, they had to name JP Morgan as authorized participant. Why did they have to do that? Because authorized participants, they are entities that are allowed to create and redeem shares of an ETF. These organizations can either exchange shares for a corresponding basket of securities or exchange them for cash. So, and what else? Another thing that we have to look at, Coinbase is dominating in a key Bitcoin ETF service. What's that service? Custody, right? It's custody. So custody service are a vital part in Bitcoin ETF applications. And Coinbase has been picked by 9 out of the 12, right? And there's a beautiful chart here that shows you how Coinbase is literally the custodian for Grayscale, ARK Invest, BlackRock, Bitwise, right? Wisdom Tree, Invesco, Galaxy, and so on and so forth, even Valkyrie and Global X. But UBS, they're doing their own custody. They do the whole asset life cycle. They're originating it, they're issuing it, they're distributing it, and then they're also the custodian. Remember, this is what we discussed on Monday on Twitter Space. For those who missed it, I encourage you to go back and listen. The difference between UBS and BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Coinbase is UBS does what these three companies have to do separately. So BlackRock cannot do what UBS does. They're not a bank. And JP Morgan also cannot do what UBS can because they're not an asset manager. But UBS is an asset manager and a bank at the same time. So while BlackRock needs the help of JP Morgan to issue and distribute, and also need the help of Coinbase for custody, UBS don't need that. They do everything in-house. They have a full life cycle, including they're the ones originating it. And who's originating the ETFs for BlackRock? It's JP Morgan. They're the ones. It says it right here. They're the ones, the authorized participants. They're the entities allowed to create and redeem. Meanwhile, they're the UBS, they're the ones that are originating, issuing, distributing, and custody, right? And now let's look at what their focus is. The focus is on tokenization. What a surprise. What is BlackRock always talking about? What is Larry Fink always talking about tokenization of assets? And he didn't start talking about this until lately. And so they're tokenizing bonds, which is debt market, funds, which are ETFs, and structured products. What is structured products? Structured products is just simply derivative, right? Derivatives. And remember how large the derivatives market is, right? How big is the derivatives market? It's gigantic. That's the best explanation. It's over $1 quadrillion US. Remember, we had this topic on Monday. And so not only is UBS tokenizing a $1 quadrillion industry, but they're also tokenizing the entire ETF industry and the entire bond industry, which is debt market. These are the three largest markets in the world. And they are tokenizing assets for them and doing a whole life cycle. They're the originator, the issuer, the distributor, and the custodian, all in one. So you imagine how much revenue this bank is making, this asset manager is making. And they're way ahead of BlackRock. BlackRock is literally copying what UBS has been doing for over a year. Coinbase and JP Morgan, all these three are working together to achieve what one bank is doing on its own. So this is what we were talking about on Monday. Why is this so important? Why is this something that we need to pay attention to? It's because this right here. On November 1st, UBS Asset Management, they announced the launch of a money fund, liquidity fund, like we said. And where is this built? It's built on the Ethereum network using the distributed ledger technology. It's on Ethereum. So why are we stressing so much on that? Because this was the topic on Saturday. And now we came full circle. We just verified that Ethereum remains the top platform for DeFi, check. Stable coins, check. Real world assets, check. Now we came full circle, right? This is UBS article. They're telling you that they are building on Ethereum. And this is very interesting to understand. The first fund, a money market investment fund, built on Ethereum distributed ledger technology, will be available through authorized distributing partners. And they're already in partnership with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is the SEC equivalent in the US. And they already opened their fund and went a pilot, did a bond, issued bond, local currency bond, back in November, exactly 1 year ago. So let's not believe UBS. Let's read another article to verify what we just read. So to do that, let's go to this article. And this was our topic on Monday, community. Remember how we were talking about how US can solve their challenge, the inflation challenge, and this is one of the president's challenges that he says here is inflation, right? And this is exactly what everybody is really looking forward to. How is this going to be addressed? How is inflation going to be addressed, right? And this is one of our 4 challenges that we are addressing as an ecosystem. So inflation is a major deal, it's a major issue, it's a challenge. And Switzerland, they're already way ahead of everybody else. And they issued the city of Lugano. So this is even just a city. They already issued not 1, not 2, but 3 blockchain bonds. And this article is so innovative, I'd like to share it with you. Let's go just briefly fly through it. So like we said, the Swiss government, and like we said, we discussed this on this, when was it? This was on, when did we have? On Monday, right? On the 4th. On the 4th, on Monday, we had our Twitter space, and this was our topic. We discussed, I was just thinking out loud, and I shared with the community how I see that the future blockchain bonds, how the US can tackle their challenge, their inflation challenge. And it's not by using gold, literally this was the topic. It's not by using Bitcoin, right? And like we said here, it's not going to do it, but it's by using treasury, tokenized treasury bills. And this is exactly what we discussed. And it took 3 days, and it's mainstream now already, community. So the cat is out of the bag. This is exactly what's happening. And Switzerland is the first one to issue it. So nobody else is doing it, only Switzerland. And they're doing it, this today's article. So let's look at it. So the city of Lugano, they issued the 3rd bond using blockchain technology. Amazing. This is the solution to inflation. And Switzerland, they already have the lowest inflation rate amongst fiat currencies, but they're still causing even more deflation. So this is amazing. They're so way ahead of it. So the bond is valued at 139 million and has dual listings, right? On the digital exchange and traditional exchange. So they're both DeFi and on traditional exchanges. You can trade them actively. So according to the Global Government FinTech on November 7th, this is today, the city of Lugano has issued 3 digital bonds worth a total of 320 million Swiss francs. And they did this in the past 2 years. So they've been doing this. They've been doing this quietly, and they decided that today is the day to announce it. And if BlackRock, like we just saw, have been always emulating what UBS does, UBS created a liquidity fund under the supervision of Singapore Monetary Authority a year ago. What did BlackRock do? They did the same thing. They also launched one, right? And now they're working together with the government, and we have finally a pro-crypto president that is putting regulations together. So guess what's going to happen? If they were able to copy UBS to create a liquidity fund and to tokenize funds and to tokenize to tokenize bonds, they already have a liquidity fund, right? BIDL, which is this. BIDL is a liquidity fund, and it's tokenized bond, actually, right? So they copied what UBS was doing. They want to tokenize ETFs, just like UBS, and they want to get into structured products, which is derivatives. We also discussed this in our last community event, right? This is the end game. So what makes you think they will not copy this right here? What makes you think they will not copy what the government is doing and use exactly this and issue out digital bonds, right? So let's look at some interesting facts here. So Lugano issued its first blockchain bond last year. That was the first one, January 2023. And it was dubbed a digital native bond with a tenure of 6 years. And it was valued 100 million. So the second one, also worth 100 million, was issued this year in February. So a month after they issued Bitcoin ETFs, they went ahead and actually issued blockchain-based bonds. This was what we discussed on Monday. This was us thinking out loud and just saying that let's be the first community to talk about this. And 3 days later, now there's an entire article about this. that Switzerland, they've been doing this, right? And issued as a joint initiative through Zurich Cantonal Bank, Basel Cantonal Bank, and this is a 10-year one, and it gives you a coupon of 1.4%. Now, do you realize something here? It's very, very low. But this shows you have to have a minimum investment of 100 million to participate. So this is not for the regular retailer. This is for wholesale. Keep this in mind. This is for the wholesale, not for retail. So you have to be an institution, you have to be a bank. That's why they did a joint initiative with the Cantonal Bank, just means States Bank. So the State Bank of Zurich, State Bank of Basel, they did a joint venture. And they came together with the city of Lugano, came together in joint venture and did this, made this happen. And this is very interesting. Why do they do this? Because they want to strengthen their fiat currency. They want to strengthen the Swiss franc. It's already the strongest fiat currency in the world, but by selling these bonds, it strengthens the Swiss franc even more. And it gives these institutions the reason to earn even more interest on their idle cash. Remember how we discussed how much money Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, they have hundreds of billions laying around, but they don't know what to do with it. Switzerland, they already gave these institutions an option. And what do you think? These are issued by states. Zurich is a state. Basel is a state. Lugano is a city. So this is the government, basically, is the one issuing these bonds, just like we discussed, to back their fiat currency. Wasn't this the topic on Monday? This is the solution for the US. Everything is done already by Switzerland. So all they need to do is copy that, and the US dollar is going to remain the dominant digital reserve, the global reserve currency. This was the topic on Monday. And they have the blueprint right in front of them. All they have to do is just copy. And like we know, they've been copying UBS all this time. And aside from Lugano, the city of St. Gallen, and surprise, surprise, the Union Bank of Switzerland, this is UBS, and the World Bank, this is the BIS, Bank of International Settlement. They've been also issuing bonds. So UBS already has been issuing bonds, like we read here, right? In November, we read this, that they've been already issuing a bond right here. On November 2023, they were the world's first to issue a cross-border repurchase, right? Digital bond. So they've been already doing it. We can verify that. Yes, it's true. They've already issued a bond last year. So not only Lugano and Zurich and Basel, but now also St. Gallen, UBS, and the World Bank, which is in Basel. This is why you see these two states here. The World Bank is in Basel. It's in the state of Basel. So it's naturally, obviously, if the state is involved, naturally the World Bank is also involved, right? And another thing that I want us to look at here is that the city also has a Bitcoin pegged stablecoin called Luga. And already this city, a lot of payments, a lot of merchants are already using, 350 merchants are already using this stablecoin issued by the city itself. So this country, Switzerland, is so far ahead of everybody. This is a proof of concept. Obviously, it's working. And let's read what this individual was saying. So this individual was saying that he said that utilization of blockchain technology by the public sector is still low. So how ironic is this? So in Switzerland, the public sector utilizing blockchain is low. That's the opposite of the US. Public sector in the US, they're the ones using blockchain. It's the government that is not using blockchain, not even accepting it. But in Switzerland, it's the opposite. The governments, cities, World Bank, the largest bank in the country in Europe, UBS, they're using blockchain technology, issuing bonds and all of that. It's the public sector that is slow. In the US, it's the opposite. Public sector is active, is using the blockchain technology, but the government is slow. So that just shows you how far ahead Switzerland is. 5 states in Switzerland are using it. The largest bank in Switzerland and in Europe is using it. The World Bank that is in Basel, that is headquartered in Switzerland, Basel, is also already issuing bonds. So if the World Bank is issuing bonds, the largest bank in Switzerland and in Europe is issuing bonds. Cities like Lugano, St. Gallen, Zurich, Basel are issuing bonds. Don't you think that the largest country in the world that now has a pro-crypto president elected, and that by now probably there's news about interest rate cuts, how they want to stimulate the economy, and inflation plays a major role in this country? Don't you think that they're going to copy exactly what UBS has been doing and what Switzerland is doing to tackle their inflation challenge, their debt challenge? And now we know it's not going to be through Bitcoin, and these are not my words. We discussed this on Monday, but now we have articles to prove it. And we have facts to show that even if you had hypothetically 200 billion worth of Bitcoin, it's only worth 2.5%. How is that going to affect have a strategic impact? And how is that going to affect the current 36 trillion debt situation that we have? How is that going to affect it? It's just a fraction of the US debt. So all these strategies, all these theories in practice are not going to work. And at least for the next 2 years, this is not going to be implemented, right? And everybody's running around wild thinking that this is going to happen. But if you look at facts, and if you look at established serious countries like Switzerland, serious banks that literally do everything together, they do in-house. They're the ones doing in-house right here. They do in-house originating, issuing, distributing, custody. So they're doing what BlackRock, Coinbase, and JP Morgan need to do together. They do this on their own by themselves. And this is a country that 5 states, the largest bank and the World Bank, they're already issuing digital bonds. They've been issuing it over a year ago. So if you know all of this, because this all the World Economic Forum takes place in Switzerland, in Davos. So obviously, Larry Fink is part of the member of World Economic Forum. JP Morgan, they are part of it. They always participate in it. So obviously, they are aware of all of this. And this is a blueprint for them. So what we said on Monday, and we thought it would take 3 to 6 months, within 3 days, there is an article out here. Switzerland has been doing it for a year ago, and this is now what the US needs to implement. Once they do this, the US dollar will remain dominant, like we've been discussing, and this is good for us because we are paired with the USDC. And to make this even clearer, what's going to happen is Circle is going to receive a license. They already applied for IPO, initial public offering, to become a company, a public company, because they want to be a full reserve bank. And this is exactly the steps that need to be taken, right? And just to highlight how big Lugano's vision is, they're so far ahead. All the bars, the merchants, events, taxes can be paid in their own states-issued stablecoin known as LVGA. They're in partnership with Tether, and they're using Bitcoin as well to back their own stablecoin. So you can pay your taxes in these 3 different payments. You can make payments, you can mine, and then they also have a fund, $100 million fund for education. If you want to invest, they give you stipends to develop a business, start a business in Lugano, in Switzerland. And they also have a startup hub where they help you, assist you. So this is, like they say, every city needs a plan. So this is a city, this is a country that is so far ahead, and they have a blueprint, they have a proven concept, how it works, and how you keep your debt situation under check, and how you can resolve your debt situation. And you can only do that using the blockchain technology. One thing I want to say here. After the first issuance, we realized this technology can represent the future of finance. Where else did we read this? This is why we always bring this article, community, all the time. Remember this article. What did they say here? Stable coins, not crypto, will be part of the financial economic system in the future. Does this sentence sound familiar? What did we just read? After the first issuance, we realized this technology, the blockchain technology, can represents the future of finance. This is said by none other than the Monetary Authority, MAS. Monetary Authority, Managing Director of the Monetary Authority of Singapore. This is the Singapore equivalent of the US is SEC, right? And who else is partnered with them? UBS. UBS is partnered with them. Not only partnered with them, but they combined together with the Monetary Authority, they actually launched a fund for tokenized assets. It's like BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Coinbase launching together with the SEC a token, a fund, and then launching it on Ethereum. So UBS, together with the SEC equivalent of Singapore, of US, which is in Singapore, launched on Ethereum a liquidity fund. How about that? So US is not far behind. You'll be surprised that BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Coinbase together, but I believe it will be New York Bank Mellon, because they already got the green light to be the custodian now. So it will be New York Bank Mellon, JP Morgan, and BlackRock. Together with the SEC, they'll be launching a liquidity fund. And the liquidity fund is already here, by the way. So all they need is regulation, clarity. This liquidity fund is also paired with USDC, which is also owned not just by Coinbase, but also by BlackRock, heavily invested in them. So you see how these players are all working together to make these things happen. So this is something that has happened already, is happening already, and Switzerland has done it already, as you see here. They already did this, right? They believe strongly in blockchain. They have an investment pool over 100 million Swiss francs. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to launch a business, they'll invite you, they'll give you the funds, they'll give you the technical support and all that. They'll even give you grants to educate you on blockchain. They go to local universities to do that for strategic collaborations with them. And Bitcoin and blockchain technologies, they foster education for that. And this is exactly what we've been doing, or we're doing every single day, 3 times, 4 times a week, is education, 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 right? And this just shows you that this technology is not going anywhere. It's here to stay. In countries like Switzerland, it's implemented by the government. And in their case, the government, the public sector is the one lagging their feet, lagging behind. So they're saying that we committed to continue with digital bond issuance. They are going to continue. They're not going to leave it by those 3. they're going to keep doing it. And another thing that I want us to really understand here is that the digital bonds are issued using distributed ledger technology, like we said, and it's listed on both exchanges. And the bonds, Switzerland, by the way, the central bank of Switzerland, which the Feds, they're having a wholesale, and theirs is a CBDC, right? So they're literally having a CBDC because they trust their government. They trust the government because the government has a very low interest inflation rate. The government is taking care of the citizens, so they can really trust the government. Whereas other countries, you don't. So it has to be a public company like USDC to issue not a CBDC, but a US dollar pegged stablecoin. And so Lugano's deputy chief CFO, look at what he said. He claimed that he did not understand. He really does not understand why other issuers were so reluctant to issue digital bonds through blockchain. How about this, community? He doesn't understand why people are so reluctant. Governments, nations are reluctant to issue digital bonds through blockchain. In his experience, the process was seamless and did not differ much from the process of issuing a conventional bond. And like we said, after the first issuance, he realized that this technology is literally the future of finance. And he also said that the utilization of blockchain technology in the public is low, like we said, but he hopes that Lugano is going to continue issuing these digital bonds, and it will foster widespread adoption. So this is the most interesting part. So our latest issuance further demonstrate that investors are ready to buy digital bonds, and with full subscription in under 1 hour. So in less than an hour, they sold out on all the bonds. In less than an hour, the 100 million worth of government issued bonds, digital bonds, was sold out just like that. That's how much demand they have because it's issued by the government. It's safe. This is the safest investment you can make because the government is good for it. At least the Swiss government is. And they also, you see how the rate is low. This means that the inflation is really low. They give you a 1.4%. And the initial investment is 100 million and above. So that means if you invest $1 billion, you make 100 million basically. You make $1 million a month, 1 million a month. And like we looked at other institutions like Microsoft, Berkshire, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, they all have hundreds of billions of dollars just sitting around. They don't know what to do with it. It's catching inflation. In Switzerland, the state itself, the central bank, states like Zurich, Basel, St. Gallen, Lugano, they're all issuing in the city of Lugano. They're giving you the safest, which is government issued debt. They give you a 1.4% on your money. So imagine how many institutions, like we saw here, it sold out. Within under 1 hour, it was gone. And this is why they issued the third one. And now he strongly encourages other issuers to join us in embracing the digital future of finance. These are not my words. These are not my words. This is the CFO, right? This is the CFO of the city of Lugano. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand why other issuers are so reluctant to issue digital bonds. So community, what we discussed on Monday is reality 3 days later. This is an article that just came out today. And like the article says, according to a global government fintech report, on November 7th, the city of Lugano has issued 3 digital bonds. So what we discussed on Monday is a reality 3 days later. It's mainstream now. It's in the hands of the US now to copy this. This is a blueprint for them to do. And once they do this, like we discussed in detail on Monday, they're good to go. And they're not going to lose, like they're saying BRICS is going to take over the US dollar. US dollar is going to collapse and all this noise. If you do your research, you look around, you see things before it hits mainstream, right? We discussed this 3 days ago, and here we are. Today, this article comes out and tells you exactly what we discussed on Monday, word for word, how you can use your own government-issued debt to back your fiat currency. And Switzerland has been doing, they have been doing this. And it's in such demand that in less than an hour, it was sold out. This is groundbreaking, community. This is it. So to summarize, to bring this session home, community, it's always good to be part of a community that is ahead, right? So when these things, when such articles come, we can say, oh, this is old news. We discussed this 3 days ago. There's nothing new that we read here, right? It's just to confirm that we really are informed and educated. We are a very informed community, right? And we know what we are talking about. So this is just to confirm that what we discussed on Monday is not just a Bullrun ecosystem dream, pipe dream, but rather it's a reality. It's a blueprint. So this should give us confidence, and it should really ensure that we are on the right track and we are really educating, informing ourselves. And this is great. And we also need to understand that all the pipe dream in regards to Bitcoin reserves and all of that, we just realized that if you look at it critically and you really understand that even if you had 200 billion in Bitcoin fund, it's just a fraction of the US debt. It's not the solution to the US debt. This is exactly what we discussed on Monday. The real solution is this right here, is issue a blockchain-based US debt. That's it. This was what we discussed on Monday, community. So to close this out, let's bring this home. Let's close this out because we have so many things going for us, like we discussed. We have a pro-crypto president that his biggest aim is to tackle inflation, which is great. That's also one of our 4 challenges that we tackle, inflation. The other one is taxation, right? So now what does that mean? We saw that that means printing. If you want to solve any financial challenges in any country, what do? You print your way to the answer, right? And it doesn't matter who is in the House. It really doesn't matter who's the president, whether it's Republicans, Democrats, nobody cares because they all use that same well-oiled printer to print as much money as they can to stimulate the economy. And this is exactly what we can look forward to. This is another article that came out on the 4th. And this was another topic that we discussed in the community. And we discussed it on the 2nd, on Saturday. And they're also saying word for word, 2 days later, that Ethereum is literally potential an early Amazon. Didn't we discuss this? And so community, it's good to see things before it hits mainstream, because that puts us in a comfortable situation. And we're doing the same thing right now. We're looking at the phases for the bull run, right? Keep in mind, today's session was about what's next now in the crypto industry. Now that the money printer is getting ready to be rolled out, we see here, during the financial crisis, the housing bubble, what happened? Print the money. Pandemic, print money. There won't be any difference. Same thing is going to happen. And once it's being printed, these are the phases. This is the path to alt season. Right now, we see that the flow of money is coming into Bitcoin through ETFs. Bitcoin is hitting all-time highs. all that is already happening. So phase 1 is in full swing. Phase 2 is Ethereum. Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. And community, guess what? If you look at, numbers don't lie, right? If you look at the past 24 hours, what is Ethereum doing? Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. The last 24 hours, Ethereum is up over 7%. Over 7%. Bitcoin is barely at 1%. If you look at over the week, Ethereum is up 15%. Bitcoin is, let's round it up, 10%, right? So we see that we're already at this phase here where Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, right? And then the next phase is money start trickling to large caps now, where we see large buys are happening. That's exactly what we see as well, right? You see how Solana is up 16%, outperforming Ethereum, right? And Binance as well is doing also great. You see other altcoins are also doing great, like Cardano is up 9%, outperforming even Ethereum, right? And so we see, based on numbers, we can see what phase we are in, right? You see Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin, and large caps are also going parabolic. And we are just still at the early stages. The markets have not even been stimulated yet. The interest rate cuts are happening today. I'm sure the news is out. I'm curious. And now the last phase is when, regardless of market cap, some altcoins with strong fundamentals are having pumps. And then once the alt season comes, community, this is when all the joy is happening. This is what we all are waiting for. This is when large caps have gone full vertical, and we are seeing blow off tops. Mid caps, low caps, micro caps all tend to pump around the same time. Large caps have been outperforming Bitcoin and Ethereum. It seems every coin is going parabolic regardless of fundamentals, and meme coins are everywhere. Everyone is super excited, and you feel the mania in the air. So this is the end game, community, and this is what's coming. This is what's next now. We have the right president as far as the US, right? A pro-crypto, and I'm not being political here. I'm just excited that finally we have people in power that are pro-crypto. And why am I so excited? Because there are other countries like Switzerland, they already have cities, nations, local banks, World Bank, they're already behind Bitcoin, using the blockchain technology and creating blockchain-based bonds, issuing blockchain-based bonds. Switzerland, the central bank, already went through a wholesale CBDC pilot program, and the government is embracing it. The citizens are embracing it, right? And they're all using nothing other than Ethereum, distributed ledger technology. And this is exactly what we've been discussing on Saturday. This was the topic on Saturday, like we said, right? Is that everything is on the Ethereum, and people are undermining Ethereum, but they don't understand that Ethereum is the potential of Amazon, and that it's taking time. It's slow. You think that it's dead. However, it's a beast. And you see how all these large institutions, including UBS, has chosen to build on top of Ethereum. Not on Solana, not on Binance, not on layer 2 blockchains, but on Ethereum itself. We saw how BlackRock chose Ethereum. We saw how all the blockchains, all the stable coins, all the DeFi, all the real world assets are right here on Ethereum, right? And this is exactly the message for today, community, is that this is the end game, alt season, and all boats, rising tide lifts all boats. So it won't even matter. Even those with zero fundamentals are going to do something. So what about if you have strong fundamentals? If you have strong fundamentals, like our Bullrun ecosystem has, you don't have to go through this. Everybody goes through this cycle. During the bull run, everything goes up. Everything goes up. No matter what it is, it goes up just because there's just so much liquidity in the space. However, just like it went up, it's going to crash as well. So what we learned is implement these 4 challenges. This is why you implement 4 challenges. This shows you that there are no 4 challenges that they're addressing, which is lack of liquidity, inflation, unsustainable staking distributions, and use your volume efficiently. So as we're going up, our ecosystem is retaining liquidity, which leads to more trades, decreasing the supply, scarcity, tackling the inflation challenge, and then sustainable staking distributions based on volume, trading volume, which is triggered by the liquidity that we have. And now we are accumulating USDC distributions for the stakers. And we're doing this efficiently and sustainably by using our volume efficiently, right? So if you tackle these 4 challenges, lack of liquidity, inflation, unsustainable staking distributions, inefficient use of volume, we're tackling all of that. Now you have yourself an ecosystem that will make the best out of this bull cycle, that is looking forward for money printing that is about to happen like we've never seen before. And there's a blueprint right now that not only UBS has, and we see that BlackRock has been copying what UBS is doing. They're the ones who came up with tokenizing everything. They came with tokenizing bonds. They already did. They have last year, 1 year ago, they did tokenize bonds. They're tokenizing funds, ETFs, and they're into structured products, which is derivatives. And derivatives is a quadrillion-dollar industry. The best way to describe it is it's gigantic. So imagine all this liquidity wasn't here during this bull cycle right here. It wasn't here. This is why you see that even before all the liquidity is in, we already surpassed last bull cycle's all-time high before liquidity is even here. So you can imagine how large this bull cycle is going to be. But if you have, even those with 0 fundamentals are going to skyrocket. But imagine how much more those with fundamentals, because after the music stops, what's your ecosystem going to be like if you have no fundamentals? Will it be efficient? Will you be sustainable? Will you be able to grow or carry on beyond the bull cycle? That's what matters. You don't want to pump for a month or 2, but you want to have something that is efficient and sustainable that goes beyond this pump, this quick fix, right? So fundamentals always win. And like we saw here in this article, everybody follows and ends up on the Ethereum blockchain. Why? Follow the money. Follow the money. So more than 2 billion USDT went to Ethereum network. Why? Because that's where the liquidity is. That's where the money is. And you always follow the money, period. We've verified that. We've seen that. So this is it for today, community. Keep in mind, this is the graph. This is our path. And we already passed Ethereum being outpacing Bitcoin, right? We passed that. We can see numbers here. Bitcoin is at 1% within 24 hours. Ethereum is at 7.5%. For the week, Bitcoin is at 9%. Ethereum is over 14%. We also see how altcoins such as Solana is actually already outpacing Ethereum, right? And also, if we go to even meme coins, right, are now outpacing Ethereum. And what did we see here? That's the third phase. Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin, and large caps are also going parabolic. So we are very, very close to hit phase 4. And this is where everything is going to be lifted. And to really get the best out of this is we need this right here. and this is naturally going to happen. Money printing is going to take place. Interest rates are going to continue to get cut, and it doesn't matter who is in the house. Everybody is printing, right? Everybody's going to print. And the US dollar will remain the global reserve currency simply if they just follow the blueprint of the most crypto-friendly country in the world, which is Switzerland, right? And issue blockchain-based bonds like we've been discussing on Monday, right? 3 days later, here we are. Article is today, November 7th, right? It's an issue. It's just brand new, just came out today. And this is it. This is it, community, right? So this is it for today. Let me share my screen again and come back to you and check with you, community, whether there is any feedbacks, any comments, so that we can close out the session. Bear with me as I'm sharing my screen, community. So today's message was what's next, and we just identified the promises that were made, and we verified if that's even viable. You know, is it feasible? Is it doable? And we identified that it's not feasible as far as Bitcoin reserves. We also looked at the better version, the better path to actually address the debt crisis, and Switzerland has already been doing it. Lugano, Basel, Zurich, and St. Gallen, they have been already implementing purchasing and selling US bonds. In less than an hour, they sold out on all bonds in less than an hour, community. So that's how much demand it is. And it's the third one. So obviously, and they say they're going to continuously doing that. So everything is right here for the US to take. The blueprint is here. Proven concept is here. Money is getting ready to be flooded into the economy. If US decides to implement the same blueprint like Switzerland, like we've been discussing since Monday, and we verified again today, then the Feds will have a blank check. They'll be able to print as much as they want, and they have takers of the money, right? They have takers of the US debt. So the blockchain technology, like we've been discussing for a long time, is literally the solution to the debt crisis. And finally, we can see it based on today's article that Switzerland has been doing that for over a year now, actually 2 years, right? And it works. They're the most stable fiat currency in the world, the Swiss franc is. So everything is here, community. Let me come to your comments. Queen Mary Lane says, looking forward. I hope you really enjoyed today's session, Queen Mary Lane. We're glad to have you in the community. Queen Debbie says, we can't wait for today's meeting. I hope it was worthwhile, Queen Debbie. Queen Beatrice said, geared and ready to listen to the Crypto Guru. Good evening, community. Hello, Queen Mother Wino and our big brother Steve. Give us the good news. I hope we all appreciated today's session, today's news. I hope we all have something to take away from today's session. I hope it was informational and inspirational to all of us, and educational as well. Thank you for your feedback, Queen Beatrice. Queen Patricia says, looking forward to hear what's next. I hope that you are satisfied with today's session and that your curiosity was fed and satisfied. Queen Aloshi says, beautifully phrased. What's next? Waiting for your brilliant explanation. Thank you for giving us the best, Brother Steve and Mama Wino. Thank you so much as well, Queen Aloshi. It's a pleasure always seeing you in the community, having you here with us. My brother Theo says, greetings, my great brother Steve, dearest Mother Wino, Queen Mother Wino, and my BRL family. Great professor, I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on what's next. Thanks again for everything, General. Salute. It's a pleasure seeing you in the community as well, Brother Theo. Hello back to you as well. It's a pleasure. Welcome to the community. Queen Patricia says, good evening, family. We are back again to hear from our crypto guru, Steve. Thank you again, Steve, for your commitment. Stay protected and blessed always. Thank you so much, Queen Patricia. May you experience the same as well. Stay protected and blessed. Always a pleasure to see you in the community. My brother Eric says, an exciting time in crypto. Can't wait to learn from our crypto guru, Dr. Steve. Blessings to him and our mom, Queen Awino. Thank you so much, brother Eric. Blessings to you as well. It's always a pleasure to see you in the community. Very, very excited to always be part of these sessions with you, community. Michael Otieno, this is the most exciting moment in the crypto industry. Eagerly waiting for today's session. Your prophecies are being fulfilled. Kudos. Thank you so much, Brother Mike. Very, very true. This is what we like to do, Brother Mike. We always want to be ahead of the curve, right? This is why we stress so much on education. If by the time it hits mainstream, it's too late, right? Everybody knows it now. There's no competitive advantage. But what we have as a competitive advantage is to have a foresight. We always see before things happen. We can tell that it's about to happen. And in this case, we've been really fortunate that we've been vindicated, right? And thank you so much for your feedback. Queen Tomeletso says, good evening, our developer, Brother Steve, our Queen Mother, Mama Wino, and the entire Bullrun family. Ready for the narrative of what's next. This is the platform where we are educated and informed. Beautifully said, Queen Tomeletso. And I hope that you had something to take away with from today, and that your eagerness was justified and satisfied as well. Always a pleasure to see you in the community. Queen Emilia says, looking forward to another in-depth educational session. Thanks in advance. Thank you too, Queen Emilia. You are very, very much appreciated. Your insights, your leadership, very much appreciated as well. Thank you for your feedback. Queen Kozi says, greetings, Mama Wina, our captain, Brother Steve, and all bull runners. Looking forward to an amazing session. What we have been educated and motivated about is finally here. Beautifully said, Queen Kozi. Yes, and so much more is about to come. And like we always say, we always want to be a step ahead of the curve, right? To see things before they happen. That's the trick, you know. You want to be a leader, visionary. You don't want to be a follower, because followers are usually the exit liquidity, right? But if you can see things before they happen and we share it among the community before it hits mainstream, that's what sets us apart, right? So this is why we go through roads that nobody has paved for us. We pave our own road, but that comes with a lot of responsibility. We have to put in extra work because we are the first to be here. So we have to set the tone. We have to set the standard. We have to work extra hard. We have to be vigilant, consistent, and committed. And we have to work for us, for our dreams, to achieve all of this, right? And it's beautiful to see that everything we've been talking about so far, it's been happening, right? We talk about it, and now a few days later, boom, we read articles about it. We see nations implementing it. This is very rewarding, you know, this is very encouraging. Queen Cynthia says, greetings, Bullrun Live community. Here to be inspired, educated, and rewarded with USDC once the right volume kicks in. Absolutely, absolutely. Beautifully said, Queen Cynthia. Always a pleasure seeing you in the community as well. Queen Mother Awina herself says, greetings to all our amazing queens and kings. Thank you, Steve, for yet another informative and empowering session. Knowledge is power. Beautifully said. There is nothing more powerful than knowledge, and there's nothing more knowledgeable than a community that is knowledgeable. Our community is very informed, very educated, and highly inspired, very committed, very consistent. And this is what we need. We want a community that is driven, educated, empowered through knowledge, empowered with a efficient, sustainable platform, and using this technology to its fullest, to make the best of it, and to empower the retailer with it, right? Unless we have 100 million sitting around to participate in these products issued by these institutions. So this is DeFi at its fullest. This is using this blockchain technology to its fullest, and this is to empower us. These sessions are always here to give us the roadmap, give us a vision and foresight of things yet to happen before they hit mainstream, right? So this is what we're all about. So Queen Blessing says, good evening, family. Mr. Steve, our Queen Mother, Mama Wino, always excited to be in this amazing platform. Welcome, welcome, and we are happy to have you here with us today. It's a pleasure. My great brother Abdullahi says, market movers, welcome. Today's insights will shape tomorrow's profits. Warm greetings to you all. Beautifully said, brother Abdullahi. Very much appreciated. Your leadership is very much appreciated. Thank you for your input as well. My brother Lincoln says, evening community, can't wait to learn more tonight. I hope your curiosity was satisfied, brother Lincoln. And thank you for participating today. It's a pleasure. Queen Val says, happy Thursday to you, Mr. Steve, and to all of us bull runners. Welcome to all our new members. You can join our Telegram. This is beautiful. Thank you, Queen Val, for this. For those that are new and want to be part of this movement, we focus on education, and education is power, like Queen Mother Wino said. And Queen Val puts the links to our Telegram groups for Killer Whale, Bull Run, and Survivor as well. So if you're not yet part of the community, feel free to be part of it. This is where we share knowledge, information. This is where we have foresight and we talk about topics before they hit mainstream. And we are aware of this. So by the time they hit mainstream, it's just a confirmation and a reassurance to us as a community. It's not news to us. It's just a confirmation. And this is something we can really take pride in as a community. So thank you very much, Queen Val, for putting the links for those that want to be part of our movement. Queen D says, greetings, Queen Mama Wino, Brother Steve, and the entire Bullrun community. Looking forward to another learning session. It's always an inspiration. Thank you very much, Queen D. You are an inspiration to us all as well. We are very, very thrilled. We are very excited to have you here with us today. Queen Esther says, happy to be here once more. Looking forward. Thanks, our developers, Queen Mom and Brother Steve. Thank you too, Queen Esther, for all your commitment, your consistency as well. Very much appreciated. Queen Evelyn says, thank you, Steve. The Bullrun community love you so much. You are a great mentor and you will always be. The Bullrun community is so much blessed to have you. We appreciate you a lot. These are very warm and very kind words. Thank you so much, Queen Evelyn. I really appreciate it. You're also very much loved by the community. You are very much appreciated. May you also be blessed, you and your family as well. Thank you for all your kind words. Thank you for the blessings. You are very much appreciated. Uncle George is here as well. Uncle George says, greetings to Steve, Mama Wino, Bullrun community. Today's topic is exciting, given the US election and the outcome. As much as the results are what it is, I'm glad that crypto's future is bright. Absolutely. Well said, Uncle George. And yes, the crypto's future is extremely bright. And that's all that matters for us, paving the road, especially like we see today. There is a blueprint to all of this that the US can just emulate, follow, implement, and they'll be set. They'll be good. And I believe and hope that all the promises will be met, and things will happen like the promises were laid out, right? Queen Dele says, greetings. We are back. Queen Gloria says, can't miss the teachings, free education from Brother Steve. Pleasure having you here, Queen Gloria. Queen Grace says, hello, Steve, our Mama Wino, and all of us. It's a pleasure for me to once again attend today's session. And as always, I'm eager to know what's next after Trump has won the race. I hope your eagerness, your curiosity was satisfied. Queen Grace, it's always a pleasure to see you in the community. Queen Resego says to the beloved Bullrun community, greetings to our Queen Mama Wino and our developer King Steve. A very good evening. It's getting more interesting and palatable. Our ecosystem is goodness. Our ecosystem, my goodness. I can feed off of, we can all feed off of your enthusiasm and your positive energy, Queen Resego. Keep being yourself. You're very much appreciated as well. And yes, indeed, we have an amazing ecosystem. We're in the right place at the right time. And things are lining up for us, microeconomics, in the politics, that things that are happening, everything is aligning perfectly for the crypto industry. And this is something we can really be excited about. Queen Patricia says, hello, family and brother Steve, another educational session. We are grateful to be up to date with new changes out there. It boosts our emotions and stay positive and focused. To stay positive and focused. Beautifully said, Queen Patricia. We all need, inspiration, and that comes with being informed and educated. It gives us that strong mindset. It gives us that boost, like you said, to not be emotional, but rather be rational, right? And it also helps with being positive and focused, just like you said, Queen Patricia. Very, very well said. Queen Val says, let's hit the like button. Let's share. We are 57. Let's all hit the like button. Let's engage even after this session with the video, so it can reach as many people as possible. And like we said, one of our 4 pillars, of course, is education as well. We lay emphasis on education. It's very, very important to us. Queen Sarah says, good evening, Queen Mama Wino, Brother Steve, and Bullrun community. I am just happy to be here. We are happy having you here with us, Queen Sarah, as well. We appreciate you for being consistent and being part of this session today. Queen Maureen says, indeed, there's so much to learn today. Thank you, Brother Steve, for your unwavering commitment to always inform, educate, and inspire us every week. God bless you and our Queen Mother Wino. Thank you for your kind and warm words. You're very, very much appreciated, Queen Maureen. And may you also stay blessed. And you're very much appreciated as well. Queen Viola says, hello, my beautiful BRL community. Thank you, Brother Steve, for this educative session once more. Thank you as well, Queen Viola. You're very much appreciated. Glad you are able to make it to today's session, and I hope your curiosity was satisfied today. Brother Theo says, love it when I see the calculator come out. I had to do it for my great brother Theo, and of course for the community as well. And that was just to really highlight the probability. How much Bitcoin will you need? How much the Bitcoin price will have to be to make it worthwhile? Or just to check the theory. Like we always say, don't just believe what politicians are saying or what I am saying, what anybody is saying. Always verify, check, triple check. And this is all we did by doing the math, right? And it wasn't mathing. The math wasn't mathing. So Queen Patricia says, thank you, Brother Steve, at Bullrun Ecosystem. We are well educated, informed, and inspired, and way ahead of Wall Street. Indeed, you are genius to us. We are more than privileged and blessed. God bless you. Thank you so much for your kind words. You're very, very much appreciated for your kind words. You're just as a genius yourself as well, and your consistency is very much appreciated. Queen Louisa says, thank you, Brother Steve, for empowering us to the community. We are blessed. Absolutely. We have an amazing community, and we can really all be very, very grateful that we are all together. We are here to win together, right? Queen Poloko says, good evening all. Thanks, Brother Steve, for this informative free session. Thank you as well for participating in this event. You're very much appreciated, Queen Poloko. Welcome to the community. We are very humbled and pleased to have you here with us today. Queen Joyce says, good evening, community. Good evening back to you too, Queen Joyce. I hope you and yours are doing fantastic. Cryptorizer says FCC and Illinois. Not sure exactly what you mean, brother Cryptorizer, but I hope you are well, you and yours. Queen Mother Caroline says, greetings community, good news. The Bullrun cycle is moving right along. Stay focused. Beautifully said, Queen Mother Caroline. And this is all we need to do. Always remain focused and just keep doing what we're doing. We're on the right track. We're in the right place, in the right industry, at the right time. And that's the most important thing. So everybody, let's just chip in, do the best as we can as a community to just move forward and until we achieve where we want to be, right? Queen Marigi says, hello, Brother Steve, Queen Mom, and community. Enjoying these educative updates. Thank you so much. Glad that you are enjoying it, and we are pleased to hear that. Queen Esther says, again, this was very educative and encouraging. Learning all the time. Thank you, Steve. Thank you as well for participating. Thank you for being part of this session today, Queen Esther. Queen Mel says, happy Thursday, family. Greetings, Mr. Steve and Mom. Greetings to you too, and happy Thursday, Queen Mel. New day, new information, new education. Absolutely. Thanks for your heads up. This is our end game. Absolutely, Queen Mel. Beautifully said. Queen Grace says, greetings to all. Thank you very much, our developer, Steve. Finally, in crypto land, we have a president, and as crypto citizens with our stable BRL ecosystem, we are good to go in this bull cycle. Beautifully said, Queen Grace. And this really summarizes the whole session, right? This is something that our ecosystem gets us ready to really go through all of these beautiful steps that are still ahead of us. So the best part is still ahead of us, and we're in the right place at the right time, and things are lining up perfectly for us, community. And finally, my great brother Theo says, what a fantastic session, great one. Thank you for always keeping the community ahead of the game, always exciting times ahead. Thanks again. Inform, educate, inspire. Beautifully said, great brother Theo. With that said, community, thank you so much for everyone that participated, that was engaged, took the time to be part of this session today. Indeed, for the first time, blockchain technology history, we finally have the right people at the power that are just pro crypto, at least in the largest market in the world, in the US. We just saw that Switzerland already has a government behind them, cities, states that are pro crypto, pro regulation, and actually are so far ahead of so many nations across the world. And they're having a blueprint, a proof of concept that is working, and they're using tokenized bonds to literally back and support their fiat currency using the blockchain technology. And this is so exciting because this is exactly what we've been always discussing and talking about, that this is the only way for the US dollar to become and remain and retain their global reserve currency standard. They need to embrace blockchain. This is the only way. There's no other way. If they don't embrace blockchain, they're going to be, we have to look for somebody else to be the global reserve currency, right? But thank goodness that the House, the Senate, the President are pro crypto, and they have yearly meetings in Zurich, in Switzerland, in Davos, and I'm sure that they're emulating. And BlackRock has already been doing what UBS is doing, tokenized bonds, tokenized funds, which is ETFs, and tokenizing everything, so to use as collateral in the derivatives market. So we see that UBS has been the front runner, and BlackRock has been emulating what UBS has been doing 2 years ago, right? And UBS is the custodian, they are the originator, they are the issuer, right? And they don't need to be having other institutions to back them. They have everything in one place. So with that said, community, I hope the message came across. Let's be inspired, let's be encouraged, let's be informed and educated. That is power. And with that said, community, I see Crypto, my brother Crypto Riser says, sorry about the comment. I had my phone in my pocket. Thanks, Steve, for another amazing session. No worries, brother Crypto Riser. It's a pleasure to see you in the community all the time. With that said, community, I want to wish us all a wonderful rest of the week. May you all remain focused. May you remain blessed. May all our desires come to pass. This is the moment. This is the cycle to be part in this, using this blockchain technology. This time, we always say, don't take our words for it. Use these sessions as a point of reference. Verify everything, triple check everything. And this is exactly what we did today. And we identified so many things that we shouldn't just take their words for it, but verify things and identify, look at them rationally, and always think ahead, always be ahead of the curve. That's the name of the game, is be a step ahead of the competition, ahead of the curve. Don't wait until it hits mainstream, because when it hits mainstream, it's way too late, way too late. So always think ahead, always be ahead, always question things. With that said, community, stay blessed, stay focused. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you for your participation. Those who have not yet engaged with the tweets of today, and even after today's session, make sure you comment, you like, you engage with today's video, as it will trigger the algorithm and reach as many people as possible. With that said, community, bye-bye, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Till we meet again, stay blessed.